What is up, everyone? Welcome to Heroes Avenue. My name is Darren. Today we're going to be doing a Justice League Dark Apokolips War review. It's going to be an in-depth review. I'm going to go through all the scenes and everything that happened throughout this movie. It's going to be spoiler zone, so if you guys haven't watched this movie yet, definitely go ahead and watch it and then come back to this video. And before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and put this hat on because my hair is looking like Bruce Lee right now. It's pretty bad, so I don't want you guys to be staring at it the entire video. There you go, got my nice little Giants hat on, and let's go. So, first off, I truly enjoyed this movie. This movie was a lot of fun. The stakes were really high, and this movie kind of, I felt like it was really similar to some of the stakes that Endgame had as well. So if you guys watch the movie, of course, this movie has a little, it has like the pre-war scene, and then it flashes forward to 2 years later when the Justice League members loses, right? And so it's kind of similar to Infinity War and Endgame, but this is all in one movie. And so yeah, this is the first time we've ever seen the Justice League broken, dead. It is pretty bloody too, and I mean this. I don't know what rating this got. PG-13 or rated R, but man, this movie was really bloody. Probably the most violent DC movie up to date. I mean, and there's some very violent animated DC movies out there. Specifically, I'm just talking about animated movies. But yeah, there's a lot of violent animated movies, but this one I feel like takes it up a notch. And again, this movie, this is going to be the last animated Justice League movie within the universe that they built so far. So this is going to end everything, right? And so starting from Flashpoint to this movie, that's the entire animated movie series, right? So I'm really glad they told the story the way they did, and I truly enjoyed that they, brought it back to Apokolips War, because Apokolips War, that was before Rebirth, I believe, right? So and this is in the comic books after Forever Evil, and they took some elements from that in the comic books to this cartoon, but not. They took some elements, not the entire storyline. I mean, you got Batman in the Morbius chair, and you got the Furies in here as well, but different form. And the outcome is a lot different as well. So everything's different, but it took some inspiration from the comic book version. So let's go ahead and just go into this movie. I just want to give you my initial thoughts. So here we go. All right, so the movie starts with Superman wanting the Justice League members to go to war to Darkseid because they find out that Darkseid is planning to take over Earth. And so it's same as Infinity War with Iron Man and Doctor Strange taking the fight to Thanos. Before he comes to them. It's the same idea, and it's something different that we've never seen. It's a more aggressive Superman that we're used to seeing, and I like that. Unfortunately, this plan doesn't work because we find out that our heroes lose, and a lot of them die in a very, very violent death. I mean, we see Aquaman getting ripped in half. We see Wonder Woman lose her arm. We see Cyborg getting his arms and legs ripped off as well. And a lot of people get stabbed by these paradooms, which are these parademons / doomsday fusions creatures. And they're just so strong. They're defeating all the members. And a lot of them die. I mean, Constantine and Zatanna, one main thing that's very tragic in this film, just seeing all these heroes getting jumped by a bunch of these paradooms, and Zatanna is one of them. And in this movie, Zatanna and Constantine are actually a couple. And so when Constantine and Zatanna is fighting on Apokolips, Zatanna gets jumped by all these paradooms, and you see Constantine watching them, pretty much killing her. And he kind of walks away and transports himself back to Earth. And then we later find out that Constantine, after this whole war, 2 years later, he is there getting drunk, and I love that emotional aspect of it. I love the depressed version of Constantine, where he's always, the first scene we see of Constantine after the war is very sad, and it's very reminiscent to the the Fat Thor in Endgame. Very reminiscent of that. And I guess you could say there's a lot of elements from Endgame that is brought to this movie. I'm not sure if that's a coincidence, but I feel like it's very apparent in this movie, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because I think it brought a lot of human element to it as well, and I really like that. And so there's that, and then after the heroes lose, it jumps to 2 years. And that's kind of similar to an Endgame, where it jumps to 5 years later, and then we see this post-apocalyptic world, literally, where the Earth is becoming like Apokolips, Darkseid's planet, which is like filled with lava and it's just decaying and all that stuff. And it's because the reason why it's becoming like an apocalypse world is because Darkseid has these like lava sucking ships or machines that's sucking up all the lava from the core of the Earth and bring it to, I think he's bringing it to his planet, Apokolips. That's why Apokolips is all filled with lava and all that stuff. Very similar to, again, it's very similar to the movies. That was kind of the same objective that Steppenwolf had in the Justice League movie. Let's kind of forget that ever happened, by the way. And so there's that. But I feel like this movie is it's way better than the live action Justice League movie. Just saying. And then we see, and then later on we see a depowered Superman because when Superman was fighting Darkseid injected Superman with kryptonite, which depowered him and tattooed the S on his chest in kryptonite. And then you see, Clark Kent's eyes are green, and he has like a beard, and he's like depressed as well, but he's also still very hopeful. And again, I feel like that's kind of represented to Captain America in this movie. Once that drive that Captain America had in Endgame, after he figured out a plan with Ant-Man, you see that hope in Clark Kent as well. So Clark Kent and Raven and Constantine, they have this plan to take down Apokolips, or to take down, I keep saying Apokolips, to take down Darkseid, where Batman is on the Morbius chair as Darkseid's right-hand man, and he's a very different Batman. He's dark, and this part is, again, it's taking elements from the comic book version of Apokolips War, and I like this. I like this a lot, and I love how later on we find out that Batman, he goes fighting with Damian Wayne, and that fight is really good. It's very emotional as well. And I just love how the creators of this movie, you could tell there's a lot of elements that they're taking inspiration from, and it actually works out. I think the only part that doesn't work, that feels very slow, is getting the gang together. When Superman and Raven go and try to get Constantine onto their plan, and then from then they have to go and seek Lois, where Lois is with the Suicide Squad and try to get to them, tries to get them involved. And then they have to get all of them. They have to go to Lex and tries to figure out the plan as well. So that part, I feel like that could have been done a little bit more better. It's kind of slow because nothing really happens. It's just getting everyone on this plan. But again, you got Harley Quinn, you got the Suicide Squad there to keep you entertained, and then you have Constantine being the comedic voice in there as well. So that part, it wasn't a drag. It's just that I was waiting for more things to happen. But again, this is this is like the Endgame version, right? Where everyone lost, where the Justice League lost, and the heroes are just broken. They have no hope, and so nothing's really happening. There's no one to fight. There's no villain that's out there that is like wreaking havoc, and heroes have to stop that person. There's nothing like that is happening right now, because the main villain in this movie is Darkseid, right? And so once everyone goes from the Earth back to Apokolips, which is like Damian, Superman, Raven, Constantine, and then I forgot who else. I'm blanking out. But there's more. There's more guys there, and then we see the characters fight the Furies. In the comic books, they're different characters, but in this movie, you have Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Hawkman, and you have the last one is Mera. Mera's in there as well, and they're kind of the evil versions of them, but they're half robot because they're under Apocalypse Dark Side spell, and so they fight the Justice League members, and somehow Wonder Woman breaks the spell because Constantine gets her lasso and gets rid of the spell. And so Wonder Woman becomes normal and fights the Furies herself, while everyone else tries to go ahead and fight Darkseid. And this is where it gets really interesting and really fun, because Superman, he is depowered and all that stuff. Even though he's depowered, he also has Lex. Lex lended him his like super suit, and so they find the Flash on the treadmill, but Flash has been running for 2 years, so Flash is super tired, and he's trying to run this machine that's like spinning around in this big room, and Superman stops the machine and breaks it and takes Flash off the machine, and then Constantine like tries to help the Flash, and then realizes once he touches him, he finds out that the Flash is the reason why Darkseid exists, and this is the reason why Darkseid is doing this, because of Flashpoint. Because remember, in Flashpoint, in the animated movie, Darkseid that's how Darkseid entered this new universe. And so they realized that, you know, Flash is the reason why he did this, because he saved his mom and all that stuff. So it made me want to rewatch that movie and go, watch all the movies in order again. I may not do that because there's a lot of movies. I don't want, even though I'm quarantined, I don't want to do that right now. Anyways, so after they get the Flash, they go and fight Darkseid and Batman. And so, let's rewind. So before this, Darkseid was on Oa while everyone is fighting the Furies. So Darkseid was on Oa, the planet for the Green Lanterns, and basically destroyed the planet, or took over the planet. And then we see John Stewart that's on the planet and getting dusted away, because he just blew up Darkseid blew up the Green Lantern power energy machine, and it just blew up, and John Stewart was right there. As he was saying, in brightest day, in blackest night, right before he said the last word, right next to the Green Lantern, it blew up and John Stewart disintegrated. So that part was really sad. So a lot of death in this movie that I am not used to seeing, especially for core Justice League members. So that is very off-putting, very surprising. I'm just not used to it. Even though it's a cartoon, I just can't get used to it. It's just weird to see. It's weird to see like Aquaman getting ripped in half, Wonder Woman getting her arm chopped off, and then there's this also scene, I think, like Batgirl gets stomped on and she just dies very quickly. It's crazy. It's a lot of death. It's very violent. And so yeah. Anyways, so we were back to where Darkseid and Batman versus the Justice League members, and so Batman tries to fight Damian, and Damian loses the fight. And Batman, before he's about to kill him, he gets a vision of his parents in that alleyway, and then it kind of brings him back to life and removes the spell that Darkseid had over him. And Batman is holding a sword and throws the sword at Darkseid and it hits him in the eye. That part was so badass, and I was like, oh my god, thank you, Batman. You're the best. Oh my god, you're always there. You're always there at the best time and always save the day. But however, that doesn't really stop Darkseid at all, right? And so Raven, who is also there, who has been fighting this whole movie, she's been fighting her inner demon, or her dad that's been trapped inside her gem that's on her forehead. Trigon, who's like this big giant demon that has 3 eyes, who's super strong. She's been fighting him this whole entire movie. He's trying to get out. He's trying to take over her body and just wreak havoc. But it doesn't happen until this very moment. She lets him free, and his Trigon, his spirit goes into Superman, and Superman becomes like this demon Superman, or a super demon, and it's just crazy. And then the Trigon, or this demon Superman's aura becomes like this. He has his own cape and stuff, and it's crazy. I was like, holy oh my god, like, what is going on? It's a superpowered Batman. It's not. I've never seen it before, so I was pretty surprised. And then this Superman fights Darkseid, and then it's crazy. So much is going on, and then everyone just watching Superman like a ping pong match with Darkseid, like literally you see Batman in the background, just kind of just turning his head, just like, oh, okay, I guess we're just gonna wait until this happens, until we find another plan. So good thing they did, because they find that Cyborg is there, like stuck on this wall. Right, Cyborg is just stuck on this wall. They're like, "Oh, Cyborg, you're still here?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm here. Like, I've been here this whole time." And I guess he was like attached to the, like this machine that Darkseid had, and that machine was attached to Apokolips. So basically, Cyborg was part of Apokolips. And so Cyborg tells everyone, like, "Hey, we have this. I could destroy this planet, or I could send this planet to another place that's like in the middle of nowhere, where it's like far away, but you guys have to boom yourself back to Earth." And they're like, "Okay, how do we do that?" And so while Superman is fighting Darkseid, Lois Lane, that's fighting the good fight back on Earth against all the Paradooms with the Suicide Squad. She says her goodbye to Clark. And she says like this video call to Superman. This part was stupid. It reminded me of when, it reminded me of the stupid moment where, in BVS, where Superman is fighting in the middle of this. The Trinity's in the middle of this fight with Doomsday, and then Lois Lane is there, and then they had like this sentimental moment. They kiss and all that stuff. That part just made me cringe. I'm like, dude, there's like this bigger threat out there that needs to die. Well, you're over here kissing your wife or whatever. Like, I'm like, it doesn't work. It doesn't. I hate those corny moments, but whatever. The point of that. So in this movie, Lois Lane does like this video call with Superman, and while he's fighting Darkseid, and she says her goodbye, and then she says, "I love you," while Superman, like this demon Superman, right? And then she says goodbye, and then the place that she's at blows up because she's trying to destroy all the Paradooms. And she obviously dies as well. And then, of course, being Lois Lane and Clark being Clark, seeing her die, he becomes angry, and the Trigon is released from his body, and then Darkseid traps Trigon, his spirit, into like this bubble. And then you got Constantine and Raven right there, sitting right there, and they take. Then Raven and Constantine, that's sitting right there, they take that bubble and release Trigon from there. And then Trigon replaces, switches spots with Superman. Instead of Superman fighting Darkseid, it's Trigon versus Darkseid. And while they're doing that, Superman kind of like, all right, I'm going to just switch spot and run. Superman and the rest of the Justice League members, they boom themselves back to Earth, and Cyborg transports the entire Apokolips planet into some other space. And that's pretty much it. And then after that, the threat is gone, and they destroyed all the lava-sucking machines that was happening, which was pretty tight, by the way. And so after that, the heroes have their own, like, this whole moment where they're looking out on the sunset, and then Flash is right there, and then she's talking to Constantine. Constantine says, "You know what you have to do." He's like, "I can't do Flashpoint again." He's like, "You have to, because either you go to Flashpoint or we stick to this reality. Nothing can be better than this." And so Flash, he runs, and then he does Flashpoint again. So there you go. That's the review. That's the whole movie. I totally enjoyed it. I personally would recommend it to someone who's a huge DC fan. This has so much drama in it. So much is happening. So much violence. It's not your typical, Justice League movie. There's a lot at stake here. So if you guys haven't watched it, I'm sure you guys have. I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing watching this? If you haven't watched this, but yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Out of 10, I would give this a solid. I'll give this a solid 7.5. Honestly, I would watch it again. I bought it just for this review, but hey, I loved it. So let me know in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you guys again. Bye.